Sills, happy Halloween to you. You see, Halloween kind of cool. I'm more of a Thanksgiving, Christmas. I love Easter. My grandmother loved Easter. Halloween's kind of cool. But you know what made Halloween? Halloween's kind of like the Super Bowl. It's always on a really stupid day. How can you have Halloween in the middle of the week? You got to have it on Fridays. You know how you have Thanksgiving on Thursday, right? It's always on a stupid day. And the Super Bowl being on Sunday, I'd rather have the Super Bowl on Saturday so everybody can get hammered, watch the game, wake up, because no one goes to work Monday anyway. Dog goes like this, I like to eat. Yeah, okay. I'm not a candy guy, really. I know, but I'm not. I'm not really a candy guy. I'm not really a sweets guy either. I don't, man. I like seafood and pasta. Absolutely. All right. NFL trading deadline is 4 p.m. Eastern time today. Montez Sweat goes early from the Commanders to Chicago. That's a big name, man. He's a heck of a football player. And Chase Young and the Commanders are getting a lot of conversation on potentially being moved as well. Shit, the Eagles' name has been brought up in that conversation for Montez Sweat. The kid Johnson from Chicago, I've been telling you for over a week. That looks like a guy that potentially the Eagles could target, the cornerback. Remember, some of you in here were going like this. Who? That's the kind of guy Howie goes after. So we'll keep abreast of what's going on in the NFL trading news. I think there's going to be big-time surprises today. I do. I think this is going to become a normal trend now as we get closer to the trading deadline, that you're going to see a lot of people with big names move. Years past, this thing here wasn't something that nobody made trades. The NFL is not something that you saw a lot of trades. This is something that's brand new. And ever since the collective bargaining agreement has changed, it's given teams more latitude not to have to eat a lot of the cap. And what they do is defer money out now when it comes to dead cap money. So they're able to have more mobility. And when they change the rookie pay structure, you can move off a kid now. You can move off a kid and the money, even though he's a first-round pick, and not get hammered on it any longer. So they've made it conducive. And I actually like it. I like it. It keeps teams engaged, and you can also see where teams are going. There's no question. I think Washington has packed it in. Montez Sweat, now you're taking calls for Chase Young. Where are you going? It's all about right now, I think, developing the young quarterback. Maybe you pick up a B-level offensive lineman in Washington. I don't know what the Giants will do. The Cowboys, once again, Jerry's saying that he's happy with what he has. Once again, there's a difference between him and Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson was like Howie Roseman. He was never happy with his roster. By the way, Jimmy will be with us at 5:30 Eastern today. We will talk to the former Super Bowl and Pro Football Hall of Famer and NFL on Fox's host, Jimmy Johnson, at 5:30. So Tone will join us at 3:30 for the segment, as he always does. It's Cowboy Week. And also today, we start up again our giveaway and a chance for you to win yourself some great merch and also a chance to win yourself gift certificates. All you have to do is email the show, dansileo@gmail.com. Give us your information, and Tone's going to send a code word out over the next 4 hours. All you have to do is identify that code word. You email us, and you can end up hearing your name called on a football Monday, like all our winners have, and give you an opportunity to win yourself some gift certificates with our friends at Hooters. Very, very simple. That's all you have to do is email us, and you could be winners just like this week's winners, Michael and Herman. Herman from Delaware, Michael from Pennsylvania. Very, very simple to do. Again, dansileoshow@gmail.com. You will see that code word throughout the 4 hours. Just email us and you get yourself a chance. Also, again, like I said, oh, by the way, little birdie told Big Sills, Tone, I'm not sure if any of you guys have been reporting this, but little birdie over at the NovaCare Center kind of gave me a little bit of an insight into Jalen's knee injury, and it's being thrown around that it's a bone bruise and that it's not an MCL or ACL, which means it's not structural, which means he's dealing with a bone bruise. That is relief in my book. That's why he could tolerate the pain. I think if he had stretched his MCL or ACL out, they'd be more concerned about it. But this is something that can get better as the season goes on with treatment. He gets into that bye week in a couple weeks. That'll be the best thing on the planet for him. Get some treatment that whole week. And a bone bruise is not structural issues. So that's just something that's pain tolerance and pain management when you're talking with that, okay? That's exactly right, Tone. It's more annoying. So is it significant? It's significant because it probably stops him from doing what he wants to do out there when it comes to the run game. But a bone bruise, to me, in my opinion, I think that's great news. Okay? I think that's great news. Okay? But again, I love that fact that again, bone bruise, again, not a big deal in my opinion. And Marina thinks it happened in the Patriot game. That's one of those injuries that kind of just hangs around for a little bit, especially if you continually get it banged on a little bit like that. So just a little bit of insight. It is Cowboy week. It is. I want to do this one more time. And I'm even going to bring this up with Jimmy at 5:30. Bone bruise means it happened versus New England, and that shot directly to his left knee. I remember that play too. Every week, the more it's hit, the worse it feels. Correct. Okay? Very good. Yes. Think Hurts a better passer. I'm not sure what that means. Let me go on here. Why the hatred for the Cowboys? I thought you would hate New York more. I thought you would hate New York more. The Giants. Because that's a longer rivalry. Or Washington. Why the Cowboys? Why? What's the hatred with the Cowboys? Your longer rivals are Washington and New York. You guys have been rivals for decades, fought championships with each other. Is it really Jerry Jones? No, well, wait a minute. You hated the Cowboys in the 80s too, when Vermeil was coaching the Eagles and Landry was the coach of the Cowboys. You hated him then too. I think Jerry's kind of sprinkled more gasoline on it. You know, I think they threw more gas on it. Is it the fans? It's the fans. Okay, Jimmy Johnson versus Buddy Ryan raised it to a stratosphere. It was really good, man. The body bag games. The smugness of the Cowboys. Fans, owner, and ugly uniforms. North versus South. Hatfield's in the McCoys? Is that what this is? Hatfield and the McCoys. Interesting. Because they're always talking shit and never shut up. Well, so do I. So do I. For me, my hatred, I can't wait to get Tone on later on. For me, my hatred for the Cowboys grew to a pinnacle when they signed T.O. That was a shot in the gut to me. Plus their entire look, cockiness, grinds my gears. Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. Holy shit, you guys really hate these guys. Man. Well, I got to take it into perspective too, because I will never name that school that's on I-75 in Florida. They got a gator farm there. I won't mention their school. And again, maybe this is why I have a little bit of an ass with Howie Roseman, because he went to the Crocodile University. Okay. Hey, he went to Crocodile University. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, Howie went to University of Crocodile. So, I mean, maybe I feel you. It's the blue collar kids hating the rich kids. They don't earn anything but want everything. Oh, okay. It's the fans. Every year is Super Bowl. It's 5 rings. The technology doesn't even exist to watch. And they beat a high school team and brag. It is, Chris. It's time to put the wood on these dudes, man. It's time to put the wood on them. Okay? Jimmy Johnson is confirmed 5:30 Eastern. Fantastic. Simple. Thank you. I can't wait to hear Jimmy talk about the rivalry. Buddy and him were friends. I told you, Buddy. It's because you signed with them. I actually signed with Landry. You know who got me to the Cowboys? Robustelli got me to the Cowboys because he played with the Giants, and Robustelli and Landry were teammates with the New York Giants. You know, hey, Tone, do you know who the offensive coordinator was in New York when Coach Landry was a player coach and was a defensive coordinator? Do you know who the offensive coordinator was on that team that my uncle played on? Do you know? Do you guys have any idea who the coaching staff of the New York Giants was? Like in the late 50s, and I think the guy got the job in 60. That's right, Arthur. It was Lombardi. How about that, Tone? Offensive coordinator in New York was Vince Lombardi, and the D coordinator was Tom Landry. You're going to win some ball games. You're going to win some ball games with those coaches. Vince Lombardi was the OC. So I got to Dallas. Jimmy was still at UM then. And they had signed me. I think they signed me in November. I was inactive, but I was on the roster in 88. And then 89, that's when Jimmy got the job in February. Okay? Danny, you're a Giant. You're a Giants. Why no job in New York? Because they had a general manager in the building named Mark Chernoff, who I couldn't stand, and he hated me. And we just never saw eye to eye. That's why I never went to FAN. It's a true story. He was head of programming at CBS, and he and I despised each other to this day. I can't stand the guy. I'm shocked I even worked with Odyssey. He used to call, get this, so you know, he used to call when I was even on in San Diego to try to get me fired because he couldn't stand me. And I had only been on 2 weeks. I couldn't stand him. I hated his guts. You notice the deal with the Vikings just made? They would rather use assets and trade for Josh Dobbs than sign Carson Wentz. His future may be cooked. I was going to bring that up a little bit later on. Think about that for a second. I actually like Josh Dobbs. I think Josh Dobbs not a bad ball player. Isn't that the kid who played a little bit in Tennessee? And he went down to Arizona, beat the Cowboys. I actually like him. I do. Carson Wentz may be toast, though. He may be toast. I'm shocked he's not on a ball club. Yeah, and played in Cleveland as well. I like him. I do, man. I like him. Okay. I don't really know if this is a topic, but let's throw this out here. Who needs this game more on Sunday, the Eagles or the Cowboys? I think there's a conversation for both sides. Who needs this game more? Cowboys or Eagles? By the way, it's the game of the year. Devin says Eagles. Cowgirl, Steve. Eagles. Eagles to shut Sills up. 5-star says Eagles. Who needs this game? Chris says both. Spoken like a true Philly politician. Straddling the fence. Way to go, kid. Eagles, Sills. Couch boys. Eagles for all the reasons you mentioned yesterday. Very good, Tone. Here's why I say the Eagles. Let me, you know what, Chris? I'm more with you on this one than you think. Let me go with the Eagles. I think the Eagles on their side of the aisle need this game because you know why? The perception of the Philadelphia Eagles is that Jalen Hurts is not playing well. But if you don't watch the games and you're not paying attention to the team and what they're doing, they're trying to evolve this kid on the fly, and they're doing it while they're winning by throwing the ball more. And they feel so comfortable and confident that they're living and learning to live with the turnovers, and they're 7-1. The resiliency of the team and the character of the team is pulling this kid along here as he develops. I'll tell you this. You know, I thought about this last night. I think Jalen Hurts is developing more this year than he's had in his entire time in Philly. Why is that? Because you're asking him to do something. What's the one thing they couldn't get through Marcus Mariota's head or Vince Young's head in Tennessee? You know what that was? You can't go back to your habit of running the ball when you feel pressure. You've got to learn to throw the ball in this league, because if you can't throw the ball, you'll never win a Super Bowl. What's the one thing that Hurts is not doing this year that other dual threat quarterbacks do? What do they always resort back to when they don't see an open receiver? Take off running. Hurts is standing in the pocket and trying to develop and not go back to his comfort zone and running the ball. And he's doing this with mental toughness. He's going to turn the ball over here. You're going to have to learn to live with it. So am I. So am I. You're going to have to learn to live with these turnovers now. Josh Allen's going to throw 37 touchdowns this year and have 15 picks. And you guys will turn around and go, he had a bad year. Your guy's going to throw 15 picks too with 600 attempts. And if they could beat the Cowboys at their own game throwing the ball, shit. The Cowboys will come out of that game going, we are so far behind the Philadelphia Eagles in player development. It is mind-numbing. It is mind-numbing. This is a chance to show your player development versus Jerry's player development and all the moves that they make and why you're better and why you've been dominating since 2000. All those things. And why I say that's important, because you're division rivals. Jerry Jones is not chasing the 49ers. He's chasing Philly. He's not chasing Lombardi. Shit, dude. You can't even get out of the opening round of the playoffs. You can't even get out of the opening round of the playoffs. You got to chase Philly down first. Off topic, but whoever made the play call to Julio in the end zone is smart as hell. He put up a big number, but now teams have one more person to give attention to. I don't think anyone's going to be frightened of Julio Jones in the open field, but I do think they'd be a little nervous of him in the red zone. Is it me, Sills? It seems you're becoming an Eagle fan, or do you just hate the Cowboys? And also, have you ever considered acting? Bear, I love you guys and the fans that support the Eagles. And I love how the Eagles are run. I'm not really a fan of a team, dude. But I love when people are doing the right. Like, look at the Giants. I grew up around the Giants. That thing's a shit show. The New York Giants are a shit show. They're 10 years behind Philly right now. They'll never catch the Eagles. Unless there's massive injuries, they will never catch Philly. They're a decade behind you guys. For standings, Dallas. For respect, Eagles. All year, everyone has wanted so badly to say the next hot team is every team other than the Eagles. That's a true statement. Nobody wants to say the Eagles are the best team in the NFL. Okay? 11 goes, come on, man, it's early. Really. I don't think it's ever too early to make a statement. Whether it's week 1 or week 17 against a division opponent, I don't think it's ever too early. I don't think it's ever too early to kick someone's ass. Let me tell you, though, why I think Dallas, Tom, I'm going to disagree with you. I think Dallas needs this. Let me tell you why Dallas needs this. Dallas needs this game Sunday as a franchise. As a franchise. I'm bringing this all up with Jimmy at 5:30. They need this game as a franchise. You got to win something. You can't just keep telling people you're good, and never show up. And when you show up small. I can't think the last time the Dallas Cowboys won a significant ball game that mattered. They win all these stupid, shitty games. Working on it, John. We'll know more as we get closer to 4 p.m. Eastern. They need this game as a franchise. Respect, belief. Do you really believe the Dallas Cowboys are going into that game on Sunday night believing they can beat Philly? Do you really believe they think they can? Or do you think the Dallas Cowboys are going into that game going, we have to play the perfect ball game to beat them? Philly doesn't have to play the perfect ball game. They're proving that now. Philly doesn't have to play a perfect game to beat you. Dallas does. Or you'll get run out of the building. Let me say this to you. If they decide to run the ball against Dallas and run it down their throat 35 times, they'll run them out of Lincoln Financial. Because they'll go over the top with AJ. They'll beat that team 38-7. Because they'll quit. There's a quit factor in Dallas now. They've put their hand up twice after ass beatings. When's the last time the Eagles put their hand up and surrendered? Shit, since 2017, the Eagles are the only team I've ever seen to make the New England Patriots and Tom Brady wave the white flag because you were killing them. That's a staple. That's a staple. Look at all the big wins you've had. Okay, not all of them have led to Super Bowls, but Dallas has nothing in the last 25 years to show me where they've done anything that's remotely close to what Philly's done. They need to beat you guys for respectability. They need to beat the Eagles for people to really look at them as a true contender. Because right now, I think the Cowboys are a pretender. I think the Lions are more of a contender. The Lions are figuring it out. They're figuring it out. Okay? The Lions are figuring, you know what they remind me of? The Cowboys' first Super Bowl. They don't really know how good they are. Philly does. They know how good they are. And what fans aren't getting right now, including me, actually, is that what they're trying to do right now in Philly with their offense, they're trying to catch up with the rest of the league and not run one of those 1990s offense that they've been running for the last 23 years in Philadelphia. Run the ball, tight end play, decent wide receivers. Well, that's changed. This is the best group of wide receivers the Philadelphia Eagles have ever had, and they're utilizing them. Philly never utilized wide receivers before in their past. It was tight end, Brian Westbrook, run the ball, red zone, play defense, go beat teams. That's 1994. What they're doing now is they're trying to climb into the Bills, the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Jags, on teams that throw the ball all around the yard. Okay? And remember what I said. The best group of wideouts, not a wideout. Best group of wideouts with a tight end and a pass-catching back. It's the best skilled set team the Eagles have ever had in their history. In their history. Am I wrong? Is this not the best offensive skill set people that you have had in the history of the program? From the tight end to the two wideouts, you now have a pass catching. And I'm saying as a group, is this not the greatest offensive group of pass catchers that the Eagles have had on the field at one time? Think about that. How many years has the Philadelphia Eagles been around? This is the last 2 years is the best you've ever seen with a group of people. Not just a T.O., Irvin Fryer, Harold Carmichael. You got 6 dudes that are Pro Bowlers as skilled guys. I personally don't think there's a team in the league that has and could compare to it. The Eagles have never been this talented. If this group doesn't deliver a Super Bowl, it will be a huge failure. How about this? I don't know about failure. It would be a huge disappointment. Because winning a Super Bowl, in my opinion, you got to have all 53 components working at one time in the right time, and you have to have the right coaching. Okay? You have to have the right coaching. The right coaching. Injuries. Not significant at skilled and premium positions. You know, I'll tell you something. Howie Roseman is going to go down potentially as one of the best salary cap GMs ever. I don't know about one of the best GMs ever, but he'll go down as one of the best salary cap GMs of all time. Because you know why? Outside of the 4-win season and a couple skips with injuries, all happens. And by the way, there's no question that R.C. Slocum thing that he went on, that caravan he went on to Europe after he got put in the broom closet, he's a different dude, man. He now looks at teams differently. I can't wait to talk to Jimmy because I think Jimmy Johnson's the greatest talent evaluator in NFL history next to Chuck Noll. And it was Jimmy that making all the moves. Isn't it crazy when you see this? Yeah, R.C. Buford, the guy from the Spurs. Look at what that guy did. R.C. Buford and think about this. R.C. Buford and Bill Belichick, those programs were kind of identical. Not a lot of flash, not a lot of anything, just a ton of winning. And look at what they did. They were really like the first team, the Spurs, to look at foreign players. Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, when other teams weren't really doing that. They were talent evaluating and scout evaluating and getting a personal idea of what fit their style of play. I think you can apply R.C. Buford or Howie Roseman to any sport. This is about identifying talent, whether you're a singer, basketball player, football player. I'll be at Hooters. Nothing better. Thank you, Ryan. I think the Cowboys need this game more than the Eagles, man. You gotta get some respectability back. You don't get respectability going in and playing close games and losing. You got to win this ball game, dog. Cowboys have to win. The Eagles, you know what? Listen, I want the Eagles to choke them out, and I think they can. But see, get this. If the Cowboys lose, they're going to fall to pieces. Do you know that the Eagles can wreck their season Sunday? Eagles lose that game. Their season's not wrecked. They don't get emotionally. Can I tell you this? Here's the difference between Jerry Jones and his Cowboys and Jeffrey Lurie and his Eagles. The Eagle players don't get emotionally vested in peaks and valleys on games. Jets game, lost. All right, let's move on. Didn't play great Commanders. Okay. We killed the Dolphins. All right. Dude, they're always looking at the next game. They're really not looking at what they did 2 days ago. Look at what the Cowboys are doing. They made a whole week of excuses why they got killed by the Niners. They didn't stop talking until Friday. And that's why they limped around in that Charger game. The Eagles can wreck their season. You know why? They're not emotionally balanced because the owner's not. His emotions get the best of him. Jimmy never loved this play. You know what? I was one of his favorite players. That never mattered. That never mattered. I was mad as hell at him when he cut me, and I got hurt. You know, he gave me every opportunity to stay on the team. I didn't want to go through the injury route. That was on me, my mistake. I didn't talk to him for 10 years. Honest to God, he called my radio show in Tampa. This is a true story. Hey, you know who this is? He called me from his freaking boat in the Keys. Tone, the craziest thing. I was on, he heard me talking because WDAE was a huge single. And you could hear it all over the southeastern part of the country. And he called me up. He goes, "Hey, it's Jimmy." And I'm like, oh. And he goes, "Hey, I'm sorry." Right there in the air. And I went, "I'm too, coach. I didn't mean to do that." He goes, "You know, you're my favorite player, one of my favorite players of all time." And I was like this. I know. He goes, "I gave you a chance to be on the team. You didn't want to take it. So we gave you $75,000 and pushed you out the door." And I was like, "I know." Shit, Butch Davis. I told you guys the other day, Butch Davis. I walked into a grocery store with my girlfriend then and now my wife. He looked right at me and read me the riot act. "Why didn't you do what they asked you to do? You could be on the Cowboys right now having Super Bowl rings. Instead, your stupid, arrogant, pig-headed ways of doing shit cost you a chance to be on the Dallas Cowboys." This is right in the middle of a grocery store. He's reading me the riot. My girlfriend looked at me and goes, "Jesus." I go, "Yeah." And these guys are my best friends to this day. It's a true story. True story, man. Could have had 3 rings. Said I was too arrogant and too pig-headed. Let me say this to you also. So Jerry Jones says that he's not going to move anything. He's pretty happy with what he has. Jimmy in 5 years made 57 trades because he was never satisfied with his roster, and they won 3 Super Bowls. How could Jerry Jones, who hasn't done anything in the postseason, be happy with what he has when you know he can't win against dominant teams like San Francisco? I don't care. You want to hear something? San Francisco can be 10-7 and run the Cowboys over and kill them in the playoffs. I think Seattle now got better by getting a kid from the Giants. I don't think they can beat Seattle. I'm not sure that the Cowboys can beat the Lions. I do not believe they could beat the Lions now. Shit. If Coach Johnson was in today's NFL with all the free agency, he'd be making a move every day. Every day. Every day. He's the guy that made the trade for Haley. He's the guy that drafted Emmett. He's the guy that turned an offensive line from vagabonds into one of the greatest O-lines of all time. And he won Super Bowls with the youngest roster in the NFL. Look what Howie's doing in a salary cap era. He's quick to move off his draft mistakes. Again, what is making him so good? He covers his mistakes with veteran. You know what he'll do? Jalen Reagor sucked, How does he cover it? A.J. Brown. Derek Barnett never really panned out as a guy, a first-round edge rusher. What'd he do? Got Hassan Reddick. He never really drafted a cornerback that was worth a shit. What'd he do? He went out and signed 2 corners. He went for the sure thing instead of the unsure thing. That's knowing your weakness. Hey, man, it's hit or miss on these corners. I think it's hit or miss on corners, just like it is on quarterbacks. I think it's hit or miss. Look at how many corners the Raiders have drafted and how many have bombed. What was that kid from Ohio State that they drafted in Detroit that was supposed to be like some sort of world beater? He stinks. He stinks. Not that easy, man, and those skilled position guys. Wide receivers, too, man. Chase Young to the Niners, is that true? Holy Madon. Chase Young to the 49ers. Can someone tell me if that's a real deal? Chase Young to the 49ers. I'd like to know what they gave up because that is a spectacular move. San Francisco is not effing around, man. Is that really Chase Young to the San Francisco 49ers? Wow. So that means you get to see him again. 3rd rounder. So now you have Bosa, Gregory, Chase Young, Armstead, and you have Javon Hargrave. Number 2 overall pick, Commanders defensive end, Chase Young is being traded to the San Francisco 49ers. Likely a mid-round pick in 2024. Are we saying a 4th? Or like a 3rd? Wow. 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 Steve Wilkes the issues for the Niners right now are not defensively. The issue with the Niners is offensively and not having Trent Williams and Debo out there. That's a big move. John Lynch. I think so too, Scott. Mid-rounder, 7 rounds, probably a 3rd. Could be a contingent. I don't think Brock Purdy's played awful. I think he's had a couple bad games. Couple bad throws. I think he's had probably 7, 8 bad throws. They've been playing against excellent teams too, man. I wouldn't say Minnesota's an excellent team, but I would think that the Browns defense is the best in the league. Cincinnati has been to 2 AFC championship games in back-to-back years with Joe Burrow. I don't think that's a poor team either. They could easily get back to the AFC title game. It's not like they're taking on shitty teams. They're not taking on shitty teams. 49ers get Chase Young. Commanders get a 3rd-round pick. Okay? Wow. 3rd-round pick for Chase Young. So now, look at what you have in that defense. You got Hufanga, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Randy Gregory, Javon Hargrave, Chase Young. I mean, you've got superstars at every level. You got superstars at every level. They got better. PJ Walker's shitty. So is Zach Wilson. Got to pay him. JM says got to pay him. Do you really? Don't you think John Lynch rolls in on him and says this? Well, you're coming off catastrophic knee injuries the last couple of years. You're not getting top-end dollar. Nobody's paying him top-end dollar. If he comes in and turns himself into Hassan Reddick, he may. So I'll tell you what, JM, maybe he is playing for a contract here with somebody around the NFL. If he could do a Hassan Reddick, maybe he does get a big contract. Okay, maybe he comes in, maybe he gets you a couple sacks and he's an impact guy. That's a big deal. I think that's a third rounder though. Wow. Third rounder on a 1-year deal. You gave a 3 up for him. Wow, you feel you're right here. The Niners are going for it. Peter, 5-3 doesn't matter. So what? You're 22 and what is it? 23 and what? 2? You haven't won a Super Bowl. What's the difference? What's the difference, Peter? You guys still to this day, this is not college football. This is a week-to-week proposition. 7-1 doesn't mean you're winning the Super Bowl. It doesn't mean that in February you'll have the best team. 24-2. The only thing that people can put behind that is fire. You can't put a trophy because it's not true. Whether you're 5-3 or 24-2, it's irrelevant. Now, home field advantage, that shit matters. I totally understand. But at the end of the day here, so what? You have to validate all of your hard work by winning a championship. You can't be a guy who fights 17 or 18 tomato cans in a heavyweight career. And when you get in against a guy who is a knockout artist, he knocks you out, and everybody, it doesn't validate your record. If you keep losing Super Bowls, let's just say you keep losing Super Bowls, does that 24-2 record become a hollow record? It sure does. Commanders sick. The bird's good. Working with the opposition. Sending Chase Young to San Francisco so that it helps the 49ers. Still NFC, man. The Commanders are going to have to face the 49ers down the road too. By the way, I'm not telling you that 24-2 is not good. It is. It's outstanding. It's outstanding. 7-1. I think once again, many of you don't understand the NFL. It's a week-to-week league. And sometimes if you're 5-3 or you're 7-1, 2 weeks from now, that could be completely irrelevant. Look at how the tide has changed on San Fran. It could change on you easily. It changes on everybody. Look at, one of the hottest teams in the league were the Vikings. They were coming on 4-4 after a 1-3 start, I think it was, or 0-3, whatever they started out. And now their season's in ruin. Dobbs is going to help, but not, I don't know, maybe the NFC, because the NFC's got nothing in it. Okay? Hey, that's why I tell you, birds, the Cowboys, the Cowboys have not had the success that the Eagles have had. But at the end of the day, both teams won Super Bowl for the Eagles in 30 years. This year's the 30th year of Jeffrey Lurie. Okay, I guess. I thought you'd expect more. But you'll hang your hat on 24-2. Okay? 30-11, not bad for a cheerleader. Dude, 30-11, you think Nick Sirianni is some sort of great coach? Let me show you something. I'm going to move on to my NFL because today we do our top 10 NFL teams. I'm going to show you something here. Do you guys know who this is? 3 division titles. And actually this year, he's trying to win his 4th division title in 7 years of head coaching. He has a conference championship. He owns a Super Bowl. And he's 5-3 in the postseason. Do you know who that is? Do you know who that is? He's going to win his 4th division title in 7 years. He's got a conference championship. He's got a Super Bowl championship. He's 5-3 in the postseason. So in 7 years, 4 division titles, a conference championship, an NFL title. That's Doug Peterson. That's a coach. That's a coach. I don't give a shit what his record is. He wins division titles, conference titles, and Super Bowls. And he does it at multiple places. That's a coach. But you look at 20, 30, and 11 and tell me what a great coach. He's got just as many division titles as Peterson does in Jacksonville. Come on, man. The record in the NFL, how about this one too? Tone, think about this. Dick Vermeil just went into the Hall of Fame, right, as an NFL head coach. Let me see something here. Dick Vermeil just went in, right? What's Dick Vermeil's winning percentage as a head coach in the NFL? See what his winning percentage is. This guy has won 52% of his games, and he just was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. 120 and 109. Not a very good record, really. Not that much above 500, right? Just a couple games above 500, right? 11 games above 500. Think about that. He went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame for the job he did at places to turn reclamation projects around. He's only 11 games above 500. You think Dick Vermeil's a shitty coach too? Your boy's got a 700 win percentage. You think actually that he's better than Dick Vermeil? Say it with me. You think that Doug Peterson's a better coach than Dick Vermeil? Really? 11 wins over 500. Give me a break. How many Super Bowls did he win? 1. Got just as many Super Bowls as Doug. Again, the point is, coaching is going to matter in this race this year. Coaching mattered in the Super Bowl. You lost that game. You made all the excuses you wanted for the field and all the other shit. There was some to it with that guy Gannon. But coaching costs you. So all of these intangibles, you see, that's the one thing you still don't have that you're confident on. What's this? And I agree. And I agree with a lot of you. I think Jalen's getting better. I think the defense is going to figure it out. Will the coaching staff figure it out? All that has to play into winning a Super Bowl. All of that. Is the GM going to get in the way? Like the N'Kobe Dean thing is so asinine. Where does a general manager have any right or say in who plays? It's preposterous. N'Kobe Dean should not be on the field. And if he is, he should be in another role, like a Will, a Sam, something they can't target. If Dak Prescott sees that guy at Will on Sunday, he'll have 15 tackles. But unfortunately, he'll be chasing. With the Seahawks trading for Leonard Williams and the Niners trading for Chase Young, why does it feel like teams are loading up to knock off the Eagles? No, and you're just being paranoid. No. You got to rush a passer. You got to stop the run. But here's something that Philadelphia is doing right now. Thank you, On Demand. Shanahan is overrated, in my opinion. He folds. Hey, Ryan, you think having 3 different quarterbacks last year win you 13 ball games is overrated? I don't know. Nick is 30-11, and dude brings up Doug. Hey, dude, 30-11 doesn't mean shit to me. I saw a guy win 13 games 3 years in a row, Matt LaFleur, and his ass is on the line already. Man, you guys are dumb. Winning the Coach of the Year award for Brian Daboll, how's that working out this year for him? Being a coach in the NFL, it doesn't matter what your record is. You will be fired. Ask Andy Reid. It doesn't matter. Organizations today go with the numbers, front offices, and handpick their coaching staffs and handpick their head coaches. This is not like the good old days where coaches bring their... What coach? Andy was probably the last guy in Philly to hire his entire staff. Doug Peterson told us at the Super Bowl he had to introduce himself to 90% of the coaching staff, which means he didn't have anything to do with the hires. But I don't think that's a Philly thing. I think that's a league-wide thing. More front offices are more in control because of all these analytics. Dude, Ron Rivera is... Hey, would we not agree, Tone? Ron Rivera is a different coach today than he was 4 or 5 years ago. Because he clearly goes on analytics of what the guys are telling him in his ear. That guy does not gamble like he used to. Okay? He just does not. Shanahan tried blocking Reddick with a backup tight end. Okay, mistake. Okay? What coach do you think that Nick Sirianni hired? Who did he hire? Who say was the coordinators? You think he hired Sean Desai? No. I don't believe anybody. Arthur, how could he have hired all of them when he didn't know any of them? Out of his own mouth. Super Bowl week, out of his own mouth, he said it. Come on, man. All right. I want to do my 10 best NFL teams. Then we'll do our top 10 NFL quarterbacks. Sports Grid asked me to do this for them. And my boy Pharrell has been really kind for me. And he posts this for me. Here are my top 10 NFL teams. At 10, one of the most gifted quarterbacks in the league. I think their football team is good. I don't like the wobbling. I got the Buffalo Bills at 10. Number 9, with that move that the Seahawks made by trading for Leonard Williams. And one of the issues that the Seahawks had last year was defensively, wasn't really offensively. I don't really think so much, Tone, it's about Seattle stopping Philadelphia as more so stopping San Francisco. Because Seattle now is closing the gap. Remember this. Seattle's not trying to beat Philly. Seattle's trying to beat San Francisco. You've got to draft and you've got to make trades for your division first before you start looking outside your division. What's the point if you can't beat the 49ers? If you're concentrating on the NFC East, who you might not play. You might not play them for the next 5 years after this year. Why would I be building to beat them when I've got to beat San Francisco if I'm Seattle? and vice versa. You've got to beat them. You've got to always concentrate on your division first. But see what, I can see where Tone sees this because San Francisco was built a lot like Philly. And you kind of get a cover here with that. Because if you could beat San Francisco, you can beat Philly. Because they're built a lot alike. Okay? They're built a lot alike. Power teams, run the ball, really good dynamic receivers. I do not believe at all that you have the skill on defense that San Francisco has. You don't have one linebacker in the team that's anywhere near the two backers they have, let alone Warner. I believe that their secondary, your corners are not playing very well. And I'll give the pass to Slay because he's banged up, but Bradbury's having an off year. And this was kind of like the year he had with the Giants his final season when the Giants decided to let him walk on the street because he looks like that year now. He's not playing very well. Your safeties are still trying to figure it out. Your defensive tackles are as good, if not better, than San Francisco's. Your edge rusher, I think, is having a better year than Nick Bosa. I'm not sure Bosa's playing great football. I think the holdout, I don't know. I don't see his name popping up a lot like I do when I see the finisher in San Francisco. However, now with the additions of Gregory and now with Chase Young, you add massive depth to your edge rushers. Whereas outside of Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick, you have nothing else. I would say Howie might want to look for an edge rusher here. Somewhere, maybe the kid Hunter up in Minnesota. Maybe that kid Hunter, Daniel Hunter, they've been trying to move him. Would they make a move for Brian Burns and turn Brandon Graham into a backup? I'd be totally in favor of that. But that's going to cost you a ton of selections. And I don't believe he's going to do that. Brian Burns is out there because Carolina needs picks. Okay? They need picks to move up into the draft because of what they did to get Bryce Young. I think it's just too pricey. I do too, Maurice. I think they should blitz more Philly to help them safeties and to help the corners out a little more. Okay? Jordan Hicks. These are all good names. I think you need another edge rusher. Brandon Graham is not delivering for you. But that's okay. He's not playing horrible. He's just not delivering. And Derek Barnett isn't giving you anything either, really. They're just dudes right now. The only two guys on your edge right now that are giving you any kind of pressure are Sweat and Reddick. And Reddick's coming on. Not bad, but you have no depth there. You have zero depth. And really, zero talent behind these guys. Sweat is incredibly gifted. You know I've been saying that for 2 years. Okay? Been saying that for years. Last 2 years. He is absolutely great. Okay? All right? Like I said, LJ, your edge rushers, Brandon Graham and Sweat, are your only guys. And you're getting nothing from Brandon Graham. Zero. Sweat's good. You have no depth. Derek Barnett's terrible. Take it back. He's a dude. San Francisco now has depth with Young and Gregory. They've added depth. That's how you win Super Bowls. That's how you guys won the 17th Super Bowl, by adding guys like Chris Long. Nolan Smith is still in the process of developing. He's not Chase Young or Randy Gregory. You're not getting the same. Okay, moving on. 8. I got the Dallas Cowboys here. I'm going to put the Cowboys at 8 because I do think they have a decent secondary. There's the 2 edge rushers. I think they're weak in the middle. I think their old line is good. Tony Pollard's not bad. Here, we'll look at the Cowboys here in a minute. Dak's not having a awful year. Number 7, I got the Lions. I think the Lions are still trying to figure out who the heck they are. I got the San Francisco 49ers at 6. Got to end the streak, man. Who they got on the agenda this week? Oh, they're in a bye, right? San Francisco's in a bye, right? I got the Niners at 6. Big Sil's top 10 NFL teams. Number 5, I got the Dolphins here. By the way, last week, Jalen Ramsey played his first game. Of course, he gets a pick. That will help them, getting Ramsey back in that secondary. Imagine that you've been out all this time and you get on a football field and your very first game, you have an impactful game and you make a pick six. No, I don't know if it was a pick 6, but it was a pick against New England. Jalen Ramsey is a good football player. Didn't have the best year his final year in Los Angeles, but he's a good football player. I got the Chiefs 4. I think the Chiefs are very beatable. I just don't really think they have a lot of talent. You know what the word is? They're kind of kicking the tires on Davante Adams, but the Raiders don't want to do it. You imagine Davante Adams going to Kansas City and playing 7 years there with Patrick Mahomes? Dude, I would not want to see Davante Adams in Kansas City if I was the league. Davante Adams and Mahomes? I mean, I'd rather have Davante Adams than Tyreek Hill. I think he's a more physically imposing wideout. I'm not a fan of that wideout, that kind of wideout. Those Deshaun Jackson guys. I don't think you're very physical guys, especially in what I want to do. I want my guys knocking people out in a run game. I want people getting in the way. I want people being part of the play. I don't want people just talking about numbers because I don't really care about what that guy thinks. I like physical. And get this, A.J. Brown is having a tremendous year. But you know why? I don't like A.J. Brown because he's putting up these gigantic numbers. I like the way he drags people like he's dragging dead bodies in a lake. Don't you? Isn't that the more impressive thing when you watch him play? How he drags people like he's dragging dead bodies? When I watch AJ play, AJ makes me go like this. Man, if you're a DB, do you really want to hit that guy? Do you really want to hit that guy? Okay? And I'm not going to address a lot of people on this list here, but I will say this. Isn't it crazy? Each week the league has a different impression of who is the top teams in the NFL. Okay? It's an inconsistent league. Seth Joyner says it every day. Seth Joyner says it on our postgame show, doesn't he, Tone? It's an imperfect league. That's why you get inconsistency every year and every week. Says it every day. And there is a legendary Philadelphia Eagle who says what I say every day. And yet there's people who don't get it. Those are people who don't listen to Seth and me, but think they know that the league is not perfect. But you know better. Because you eat cheeseburgers and you sit in your dad's basement with your guinea tea on, shaving your one eyebrow. It's all good, guy. I'm with you. I'm a fan of you, man. Go get it, guy. Number 3. I have the Ravens here. I think the Ravens are going to make a move. Okay, so here we go. Big Sil's top 10 NFL teams. 10, Bills. 9, Hawks, Seahawks. 8, Cowboys. 7, Lions. 6, 49ers. Great move by them getting Chase Young just a couple minutes ago. 5, Dolphins. 4, Chiefs. 3, Ravens. Who do you think Big Sills has number 2? Who do I have number 2? Nope. I have the Jags. And the number 1 team in the NFL is the Philadelphia Eagles. Today, don't get your panties all excited. Okay? Today. So Bills 10, Seahawks 9, Cowboys 8, Lions 7, 49ers 6, Dolphins 5, and this is with a shitty defense the Eagles played against the Commanders. Dolphins 5, Chiefs 4, Ravens 3, Jags 2, Eagles 1. You have to give credit to 7-1. It'd be lunacy. I mean, the Jags are playing good football, really good. The Ravens, they've wobbled a bit, but they're playing good ball. The Chiefs, what a stinker. How could you name the Chiefs the number 1 team in the NFL when they just laid an egg against that Denver Broncos team, which is almost ready to wave the white flag? I mean, honestly. The Dolphins, I'm not really believers yet. I got to see them beat a team that matters. The 49ers, got to end that losing streak, dog. Okay? you got to win. You're not doing what the Eagles do. You may not play well, but you got to win them games that you don't play well in. Okay? The Lions, I think they're still figuring it out. Seahawks are making moves. They want to be in the party. I got the Bills at 10. You got to slowly move your way up there, guys. You got to move your way up. We're going to look at the Cowboys and my top 10 NFL quarterbacks. Plus, Tone will be with us at 3:30 for the segment. And Jimmy Johnson from the NFL on Fox will be with us at 5:30. The Hall of Fame coach will join us, and we'll get his thoughts. And what I love about him being on at 5:30, it's after the trading deadline. Plus, it's Cowboys and Eagle week. Jags in a 5-game snap, but where are the Bengals when the 49ers drop 3 straight and the Bengals are rolling? The Bengals are 4-3, okay? The Bengals are 4-3. Just because, hey, I look at the overall body of work too, man, not just 1 week, like you guys do. It doesn't work like that. You look at the 8 games. If Super Bowl was today, Sills, taking Philly, correct? I'm going to write that down. Super Bowl today. I like that. All right. Guys, do me a favor. Hey, our great friends at Hooters, we are so proud to have them as the official sponsor of the National Football Show. Our good friends have been friends with us for 40 years. It's the 40th anniversary of Hooters, and all the way from Rhode Island down through Jersey, all the way down through King of Prussia. You have to understand that I've been associated with them for all these decades, and it's one of the best places that friends can go to and experience what I call football and Hooters. What a better combination when it comes to the fall. when you want to see your favorite football team. It's the official home of all Eagle fans. If you don't want to go into the place, use the app, HootersToGo.com. That's HootersToGo.com. You can also do this. Buy 10 wings, get 10 boneless free. Wing Wednesdays is a 40-year tradition. 1983, all you can eat. Kids eat for free on Saturdays. What an absolutely great experience. NortheastHooters.com. That's NortheastHooters.com. When you go into any one of the Hooters, from Rhode Island through New Jersey down to King of Prussia, do me a favor, tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.